Live. Cool.
Yeah. All right, folks that are tuning in, good afternoon. This is episode 109, and tonight we have the pleasure of our guest, who is none other than GM Super Dan Anderson. And I want to thank you. I know we were touching base, and the plan all along was to get you on here. I had a few ideas before. One idea was I'm not sure if you were aware of this. I was going to get you on with Bram and Brian. I was going to kind of do but then they were saying, no, you should just get him on, yourself and all that. And so I'm glad it panned out. So
Again, go together. It's going to be. We don't know who's going to play. So
yeah. So, but nonetheless, I'm glad this has happened, and we got much to talk about. We got your early career, your journey in minor knees. We'll touch into some of the Blintawalk. We got your online library, what you're doing. I gotta get into that methodology. I just have to. All good stuff.
Right now, I should technical geeks. So like when we methodologies, we share a common info. So just a little background.
Yeah. Your speaker's breaking up a bit. I don't know. Right now it's fine. Maybe if you're
talk slower.
No. It was kind of going in here. So I started my journey. No, I think we'd be okay if you're right there. So for folks who are tuning in, just to give a little background on GM Dan. So Hall of Fame, 4 national time champion, 70 titles, and also runs Anderson Martial Arts Systems and magazines, so forth and so on, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, again, I'm honored to have you on. Obviously, sounds like a very, very colorful career and all that. So we're going to definitely touch on the pre-career before FMA and all that, because that should be noted. So let's obviously, you had a very decorated, successful career in the tournaments and all that. So I figured we could touch a little on that. And so was that among was some of that point sparring and other formats? Or?
Yeah, it was American point karate. And I began in American point karate during the bare knuckle days. So the concept was, when I got into it, it was no face contact. To the body, control was wrist deep. And, I grew up in an era where I was following Chuck Norris and Joe Louis, and some of the real pioneer greats. And, when I made my black belt, now I made my black belt in 1970, which means I've probably been a black belt longer than some people have been alive.
I was 5 then.
So, but I always felt I was a failed baseball player. I love baseball, but I'll tell you, every time I got up to the plate, I absolutely knew that fastball was going to hit me in the ribs. Now, that being said, I never got hit by a fastball in the ribs, but I knew it was coming, and I would freeze up. So there was the baseball. Like I said, I really, really love baseball. And when I was 14, I was introduced to karate. Now, the chief instructor of where I was at, it was at a recreation center, not a dojo, recreation center. It was a green belt, and it was none other than Lauren Christensen, who is really, really well known in the real deal world now. So I got lucky to be trained in my basic. He instilled work ethic in me and so forth. But the fascinating thing was, even my very first lesson, I got bit. And I got bit hard by the martial arts bug. And whammo, I took off. I started playing tournaments when I was a green belt. I was very unsuccessful until I made brown belt, and then I started winning some things. And then I had several goals. One was to be a black belt. That was the first one. To be a respected competitor in the Northwest. That was the next one. And then to be able to go out on the national, not respected, but beyond respected was to be a Northwest champion. Made that. Then it was to be a respected national competitor. Made that. Then it was to be a national champion, and I made that. And I got mentored by so many of the karate greats at that point in time. You had Steve Muhammad, you had Chuck Norris gave me some wonderful tips. Jeff Smith, Howard Jackson, Bill Wallace. A lot of these guys were like just total household names. I made it up through the ranks and so forth. And by the time I was a national champion, I was curious as to, okay, when I retire, what am I going to do next? And that's when Remy Presas entered into my life. So the timing was brilliant.
Wow. So when you just to back up a bit, so the viewers have some perspective of not only time frame but at your age. When did your first world champion, or when you were crowned champion? At what age?
About was 27, 28-ish, something like that. Now, world champion, that was actually, we got to fast forward all the way to 2004 because I was at the Funakoshi Karate Association World Championships down in Vegas, and I fought in my division, which was 50 and over. I came out of retirement just to fight that, and I came out and just went to Las Vegas, fought Japanese style, and won that. And that was I was the kid in the division. I was like about a week over 50 years old. So.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, but so what though? You did it. I mean, you came out of retirement to do it.
Yeah, it's that I've played in tournaments since then. I came into retirement in 1990 to fight in the Seattle Goodwill Games, and won 2 gold medals there. I had about a month worth of preparation, so I worked on timing, positioning, etc., and tactics, and not cardio. I did work in cardio, but then came out of retirement at 40, just to see what I could do at age 40. Wow. And I missed a grand champion that much. The guy who was the current heavyweight top point competitor in the U.S. beat me. I came out again of retirement at 45 because my wife had never seen me fight. So we go local tournament again, that close to the grand championship. Again, this time a different guy who was another heavyweight champion. But, I gave as good as I got. And then the most recent was several years ago, a couple of months before my birthday. And that's a whole great big non-FMA story in and of itself. But, came out of retirement, re-hardwired the system, so to speak, because I couldn't do all the great super dance stuff. I couldn't double kick. My spin kick for this and that and next thing. So I focused on what I could do. And then what I decided was that, let's put my feet to the fire. Let's have a little bit of fun. Instead of dojo mates or instead of friends who are coming over and getting in shape, why don't I go somewhere where somebody wants to kick my ass? And so I went to the tournament, or actually before I went to the tournament, I got it squared away with the promoter that not only would I fight seniors, but I asked him, okay, so I've got a special favor. This is what do you want to do, Dan? He says, 18 to 30. I go, really? Yeah, I want to fight the kids. And so anyway, so I won my division, and then I fought in 18 to 35. I think the person, and had one of the most enjoyable times I've ever had in competing. But basically being a role model to others that, age doesn't have to slow you down.
Yeah, it's a number, right? No.
And so, Arnett's had a lot a lot to do with it. But we'll get.
Yeah. I want to just take an opportunity. We got some people that jumped in. And yes, if you're watching, please tell us where you're watching from. Hit that like button. And what we got here? We have Chris Chu. We got Jesse, Jeremy, GM Bobby, Gail.
I've got a story. I've got to tell you. Stop right there. I've got a GM Bobby story. Okay. 1987. And I'm down at Peter Hill's studio down in Phoenix, Arizona. And I'm just getting excited talking about this. This is so cool. He has me in for a 2-day modern art seminar, and in between the 2 days, he mentions to me, Dan, there's somebody I would like you to meet. So, his name is Bobby Tabata. And I go, okay, cool. And he does Balintawak. And I was curious because the base style, one of the base styles of modern art is Balintawak. Right? So, after the seminar that day, he and a student of his. Now, if you know Bobby's physical makeup, right? Bobby, okay. Think of a 1987
version
makeup for Bobby Tabata at that time. We're talking. This guy is like. I mean, he's strong. His partner looks like a bodybuilder. So. What I didn't know at the time is they're going through the grouping session, grouping methods, right? And they are ripping and tearing. I mean, they are just hammering. By the time they were done, both of their sticks were shattered. Now, I'm not talking the skin is
splintered or yeah.
Just like this. And I don't know if I hid my face very well. I think I had a good poker face, but inside I was.
Yeah, don't put me in the middle of that. Yeah.
The first time I've seen it, these guys are ripping and tearing, and then we go out later on. We go out and we talk. We have a couple drinks, and just the nicest person. And he epitomizes something that I always say is that the guys who can really do it and who can really smoke and who can really fight, they are not full of themselves. They are self-assured. They're at peace within
humility.
And I tell you, GM Bobby, nothing but the greatest and utmost respect for you, sir. I just wish I was down in your part of the woods more often, so I could take you out to dinner and remind you of that. But that's my Bobby Tabata story.
No, it sounds like you two need a meetup.
And I hijacked something from him because his body work and mine are they're similar.
Mm-hmm.
He's a boxer, so he knows how to put his body into what he does boxing-wise. And from a karate perspective, using rotation of hips and power of the leg, conceptually, I do the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't
just on the lower end.
Anyway.
Okay. How about? Oh yeah, no. Thank you for sharing that. All right, we got Gail.
He's going to join in. Hey, Gail. Hey, Chad.
Yeah, watch out for Gail.
Hey, I'm over here in Gresham, Oregon. She can't hit me, so I'm fine.
Yeah, I might be in trouble because she pays visits to Connecticut, but I'll have to endure the consequences. We got Tom, Guru Tom, Maestro Alvin, Johnny. Sounds like he's a student of yours. Guru
Right.
Frank, Maestro June, and Maestro Chad. All right. Thank you all for jumping in. All right. So, okay. I mean, wonderful background. Those who missed, well, you'll see the beginning. I touched upon GM Dan's accolades and his accomplishments and all that. But now we're going to jump into the kind of meat and potatoes, so to speak, FMA. So what got you in FMA? I'm going to assume it was a meeting with one GM Presas. I'm going to guess.
Oh boy. Yeah. Any of you who've heard this story before, go out and get a cup of coffee. Those of you who haven't, sit back and laugh because I met Remy I'm going to take this to the mindset that I had then. Otherwise, it's nowhere near as good a story. But my buddy, Fred King, exceptional martial artist, very good friend of mine, very wonderful human being. He had a school in Portland, and he was always bringing people in for doing seminars. And he was, Danny, I've got this Qigong guy coming. You know, I mean, I was all karate fight. I wasn't anything else. No kata, no weapons, no none of this. I don't want to do Qigong guys, et cetera, et cetera. Well, Freddie and I go down to the California Karate Championships, and it's held in Oakland, California. And he's got this professor guy hanging with him. And it's like, you know, it's like, who is this guy? I can't even understand him for crying out loud. And it's Remy seat, by the way. And so he's following us. He's puppy dogging us, you know, and no matter where we go, I can't shake this guy. And so, you know, I'm rooming with Fred, and Fred has the professor rooming with us. And it's kind of like, come on. 6 o'clock in the morning, I wake up and I hear this. I squint my eyes open, and they're doing trapping hands practice. 6 a.m. Like, guys, come on. Pull the covers over my head. Go silent. Okay. An hour later, I hear this from a distance. Clack, 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 clack. They're doing Sinawalis in the parking lot. I look at the clock radio. It's 7 a.m. It's like nuts. You guys are nuts. Okay, so day of the tournament. I'm seated in the finals. Fred fights during the day. We have the intermission, and I can't fake this guy. I can't blow him off. I'm trying. I'm trying to get rid of him somehow. And he goes into a story on how he was mugged in, or how there was an attempted mugging in New York subway. He goes, Danny, you put on my wrist. I'm thinking, shoot me now, please. And so I roll my eyes. Spiritually, I rolled my eyes. It's like, somebody just kill me now. So I grab his wrist, and then magic happened. Now, he did a very simple breakaway from the wrist, something you see in jiu-jitsu and aikido all the time. But the fascinating thing was, now, remember, I'm a national champion. I have been in the ring hundreds of times. I have seen all sorts of confidence. I've seen Jeff Smith walk into an arena and own the arena. I've seen people being blustery. I've seen people acting out to cover up nervousness or whatever. He did this as though it never occurred to him that it wouldn't work. And I saw it. And you talk about a 180. Man, I saw that. It was beyond confidence. And you can right away. It's like, oh.
From a simple wrist lock.
A simple breakaway. But
you were sold on FMA from a wrist lock.
Sort of, kind of. My eyes were open to Remy Presas. Back over about 4 months down the road, he had Leonard Trigg, who I consider to be the unknown treasure of modern arnis. He introduced Professor Remy, and he introduced Ernesto Presas to the Pacific Northwest. Leonard Trigg put on a seminar. I went to the seminar because, okay, this was the guy that showed that confidence. And what he taught over those 2 days spoke to me.
Wow.
Spoke to me. I love the flow. I love the simplicity. I love the disarming. And next thing you know is I'm diving off the high board as far as FMA, and I have not hit water yet.
Wow.
But I met him. So every time he came to town, we had private sessions. We had we put on seminars. We put on camps for him. And I followed him. I was what I affectionately call a seminar rat. I was a seminar rat up until 1997. And the only thing that changed there was my little girl was born.
Well, that's a good reason. I mean,
and I was like, okay, I go on the road? Do I hit all these seminars, or do I raise my little girl?
Well, raise your little girl. Yeah.
No question. So
Yeah.
I moved out on a frequent basis, the last 4 years. But he was always my teacher. I was with him 21 years and never had another teacher until after he passed away.
So what year did you, I mean, again, just a general idea for the viewers, about what year was your initial meeting of him?
Yeah, I met him in 1980.
80, okay.
Made my first degree black belt in 82. I think my second in 84. I know I made third, fourth, and fifth, but the dates escape me. I know I acquired sixth degree in 94 along with the title senior master. What I didn't at the time was there were no other senior masters other than those in the Philippines. So I was basically the only to have this title. I still don't quite know what it means, but it was cool. And then I think 6 was pretty close, with the exception of 1 or 2 people. I think it was pretty close to the peak of what he promoted before he passed away. But
okay. Wow.
Missed out on getting in all the videos, but there you go. What can I say?
Yeah, couple guys here. I just got a couple comments here that they're saying your audio is breaking up, but I'm wondering, I don't know if you're too close, or if anybody's an audio expert out there, by all means, please let us know what it could be.
Let me try something. Hold on.
Technology, never a dull moment.
Yeah, because my internet's good. So this is going to be a little wobbly for the viewers for a moment, because I'm going to
yeah, no worries.
I'm going to pop this out of the frame, and I'm going to put in. We'll see how this works. What I've done is I've inserted a microphone to the phone, and let's see how that works in terms of audio. How are we sounding there, Dean?
Okay, somebody suggested a plug-in headphones.
Oh, wait a minute! I've got this in here. I can't hear you. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on because my internet should be good. Let me check.
I mean, if this stays like what you're doing, I think we're in good shape.
Okay. Like I said in the pre-show, I can talk slower.
Actually, I think whatever you did, I think might have helped. So
great. Okay. I'm not sure what I did. I tried something, but it didn't work. So anyway.
But worst case, if
that was
you're using your head, do you have if this were to continue, GM, do you have access to a headset or earphones?
Yes, I do, and it's Dan.
Okay, I always like just to assume the respect, but sure. Headphone. All right.
Actually, what's happening usually, it might end up being Manong Dan. I've had a couple of people refer to me as Uncle.
Uncle Dan, Long Dan. Yeah. Those are all some of the titles that go. You know what?
Renee Thompson calls me Uncle Dan all the time.
It's still happening. You know what? I'm almost thinking maybe get the yeah. I'm thinking.
Cool.
Thank you for those who made suggestion. Yeah, 200 lean. I tried to have them come closer. It didn't seem to do anything. No, I'm almost thinking the headset. So we will soon find out.
Okay. That's in there. That's there.
I have no clue how this is going to help anything.
We're good. That's going to do it.
Okay, is that better?
Actually, we'll find out soon enough. Yeah.
Okay,
definitely.
fair enough.
Okay, so all right, so 1980, you're starting to follow around doing, the seminar circuits and all that. What, I guess my question is, or many, is what were your initial thoughts when, besides the initial exposure to the wrist lock and how that kind of turned you 180 as you referenced? What about when you saw the sticks? Like what was going on when you were exposed to that?
Well, one of the things is that, back in the ancient days, everybody was either doing the bow staff, or because of the Bruce Lee influence, they're doing the nunchakus, or they're doing the sickles. And to me, as an American karate fighter, all of these were ridiculous. I'm not running around with a pair of chucks, and I'm not.
Why not?
Walking around with a 6-foot bow staff. But you want to know why? Why not? Let me tell you why not. I've got a stupid Letterman trick story that I can tell you. I was over at my father's place, and I'm waiting for him. He hasn't come home. He lives out in the country. I got a pair of chucks in the back of the car. So I collect all the pine cones that I can, and I start working on directions of force. I pick it up, pow, hit it horizontally, pow, that's working. Throw it up, backhand. I'm missing like crazy. Pick it up, downward, pow, pow, hitting like crazy, pick it up. The chuck gets to right about here when I realized what I had just done. Bang! Right in the middle of the forehead. You could hear the slamming of my eyes going shut across the tundra. Oh, blind, I make my way back to the car. I throw the chucks into the car.
I know. I think we all have like a nunchuck like story. Like I to this day, I'm pretty confident that I still have cracked bones in my elbow from like I'm sure I'm almost positive from so
well I'm positive I'm not picking the damn things back up, but anyway, so this was my weapons indoctrination. Now we go to Modern Arnis, we go to the camp, and he's got this short little stick, 30 inches long. Okay, it can be transferred over to anything. You can turn a Coke bottle upside down. Back when they were glass Coke bottles, you could use a short, a pen. You could go empty hand, and it all went like this, and that appealed to me. Now, one of the other things that appealed to me was his concept of the flow. Now, you gotta put your mind back in, let's say, 1980. The Tai Chi guys, they were the guys with the flow. Silat was pretty unknown in the States, just small pockets.
1980?
Yeah. So this whole idea of flow didn't hook up with fighting. Fighting was bang, 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 bang. Okay, well, he's demonstrating the flow, whether it's with the stick, whether it's with the empty hand. And here was a missing piece of the pie as far as my own martial arts education, something I'd read about a lot, but it didn't seem to go in with practical application, practical what you're doing. Bingo, he did. And so I loved the stick. I loved the empty hand. It was one of those that in the long run completed the package for me. I already had kick punch, but there was a lot that I was missing. And what Professor Remy provided filled in the gaps, huge gaps, but filled in the gaps.
Wow. So you've been treating the stick. All right. No. Thank you. As far as his approach as a teacher, obviously after 20 years, you guys, I'm sure, became obviously quite close and what have you, as far as the relationship beyond student and instructor and what have you. But what did you, I know we got your initial thoughts, but what did you like overall as, I guess, an umbrella kind of lens about his system and approach?
Okay, let's go with approach, because I have some blasphemy about the system, but let's go with the approach first. He was open He was very, very open to people in terms of approachable. His approachability was second to none. You could come up to him, you could ask him something. I don't know how many times he said, Danny, call me Remy. Yes, sir, professor. You got it, professor. Danny, you call me Remy. Yes, sir. Hey, professor. Yeah, I never called him Remy. I never called him Remy until after he passed away. And to this day, I refer to him as Professor Remy. That's how they refer to him in the Philippines. They don't even just say, well, you know, my old buddy Remy. That's Professor Remy. So he was very approachable, very open, and he was very giving as to what he did. Now, systematically, okay, here's where the blasphemy comes in, because I'm an American. I am used to a standardized system of progression. Before you get to B, you have to have the groundwork of A. Before you get to C, you've got to have the groundwork of A and B. Professor Remy, he taught in what I call a confetti fashion. You take a fistful of confetti, you fire it up in the air, and whatever lands on you is what you took home. Now, for those of us who like systematic methodologies, it drove us nuts. For those people that came to bask in his energy and bask in how he was as a person, it was perfect, because he was doing techniques here, there, everywhere. And but for me, I had to systematize it, because that is how I think. So I did that within my own school. And then it was 1997 where I sent him a fax requesting permission to form a subsystem. And it was granted. So I had, for lack of a better term, Dan's modern harness, which was a subsystem of Professor Remy's modern harness. And Dan's modern harness eventually grew into the MA80 system, Arnis Eskrima, which is my formal title of the outcropping branch of modern harness.
It's funny though, like when I first was exposed to FMA, it was random. It's like, like one class, we would touch upon this, another class would be this. So, but there wasn't congruency. You know what I mean? And not only was it not congruent, you would also at times you would be a completely different weapon. Not that there was obviously similarities as far as the striking and what have you, and the counts and all that, but much to your point, I mean, back then, systematized, that was a foreign language.
Yes, very much so.
So interesting. And in your 1980, I mean, I was exposed, in the mid 90s, and it didn't catch up until now. Of course, we're seeing individual modules, we're seeing well spelled out, curriculums and syllabuses, and especially in the Western, part of the hemisphere. But interesting. So your current rank, again, for those who didn't catch it, so you were 6th degree, which obviously is up there. I mean,
I was six under Professor Remy. I am currently a 9th in International Modern Harness Philippines in Modern Harness. The MA80 system was recognized by Professor Remy in its infancy in '97. It was also recognized as an umbrella branch by the International Modern Harness Federation Philippines 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. I'm also one of the founders of the Worldwide Family of Modern Harness. We did that in 2007, I believe, in the Philippines, 6 or 7, something like that. And so, I've got backing from the homeland, I suppose, if you want to.
I mean, everything I've heard, I don't know. I haven't heard anything negative about you. So whatever you're doing it right.
You haven't talked to the right people. There's certain people who will fill you in on negative stuff.
That's it is. That's it, man. I haven't been talking to the right people.
What can I say?
Gosh, jeez. All right. So so at what point in your ranking, I know you got 1st degree, 2nd degree, black belts, what have you. I guess at what point did you did you start teaching it? I mean, what year about?
I started teaching it right away. one of the
That's
first
what everybody
things that,
says. That every modernist I go to, no, he just said he would just go teach it. He just
here's the thing. Here's the thing. What Professor Remy was doing, okay, his goal, aside from making a living for himself, which he did really, really well in the seminar circuit, his intent was promoting Filipino martial culture. And see, the thing is, back in the ancient days, basically the only other person that was doing this was Guru Dan. And Guru Dan, from the magazines, etc., he was far better known for being Bruce Lee's #1 student. Now, what you had in terms of, let's say, a national presence, okay, you had the Stockton guys, and they had a strong FMA base in Stockton.
No,
you talked to Darren and a number of the other guys. It was strong there. Right, exactly. But it was Stockton. Now, Guru Dan was teaching FMA, but he was more known for Jeet Kune Do.
JKD.
Exactly.
I don't think the FMA caught up to him as of yet. And on East Coast, late 70s, there was a prominent New York group via Gahe, with Yatienzas, Seox, kind of,
Exactly.
But what's your point, though? It was genius.
But the point is that when Professor Remy started teaching, when he started doing the seminar circuit, he did, he had a slogan. And I don't know if he thought this up or somebody else thought this up, but it was the art within your art. Now, we have to roll back to 1980 frame of mind. Seminars were organizational style based. Taekwondo people did not go to karate seminars. Karate people did not go to jiu-jitsu seminars. Jiu-jitsu people, karate people did not go to Kempo seminars. Okay. They were each their own little pocket.
No, I can't go over there. Staying in my own bubble.
Exactly, yeah. And so when Professor Remy came out, his methodology was, okay, this is the art within your art. And he started showing common threads within modern arnis of where it may apply to a Taekwondo guy, where it may apply to somebody else. And well, not only genius, but I'm gonna veer left here. Wow, the camera, that's right. I'm gonna veer left here just for a half second. And in my view, some people will say, well, gosh, why do modern arnis people, why do they not look the same? Okay. You can tell a Calis Illustrissimo student, bam, just like that. You can tell a Cabala's Serrata student, bam, just like that, because there are certain ways of movement that are common within those. Okay, why don't modern arnis people look the same? Well, as opposed to somebody else had put forth the proposition that Professor Remy taught it so that they could become better at their art, such as, okay, good, I'll teach the Taekwondo guys some of this stuff so they can be better at Taekwondo and they can go dink, dink, dink with the sticks or whatever. If you look at, and this is the comparison that I like to use, is that if you look at Bagua Zhang, okay, Dong Hai Chuan, the founder of Bagua Zhang, he taught already existing skilled students. What you ended up with is, whatever the base art of the guy was, okay, Bagua took that flavor. So you get Cheng Tinghua, he was a wrestler. Okay, there's a lot more wrestling and grappling stuff in the Cheng school Bagua. Yin Fu, he did Northern Shaolin. So you got more of the light movement, you got more of the kicks, etc., with the same principles of Bagua. So you get all these different schools of Bagua, which have the same common core. Well, you get the same thing with, okay, if you look at me, you look at Bram, you look at Bruce Chu, you look at Kelly, you look at Roland Rivera, okay, you will see a core, but due to what we do life experiences wise, our applications are going to be different. Kelly, he's, he has been influenced by Ishinru and Silat. I've never done a day of Silat. So there's certain actions and expressions that he does that are going to be different than mine.
Sure.
I was a great mimic. I could mimic people's movements and so forth. So, and I watched Remy close, but I was also karate wise work on being ambidextrous and flow. Now, let's say you get Bruce Chu or Brian Zawolinsky. Okay, these guys worked in either law enforcement or with Brian, it was in the prison system. Okay, you're going to see some roughneck and thug applications there because of their jobs, their experiences, etc. So the thing is that what Professor Remy didn't do, and for the longest time it drove me nuts, I'll be really honest, he didn't insist upon a standard of motion and application. What he did do was he went, okay, this is Filipino martial culture. Okay, this is what you do. You take it and run with it. And so this is where we get different expressions, different sections of modernness, as opposed to the common thing where, well, you know, he wasn't training people to be stick fighters or combat people. You know, it just all depends on your frame of mind. You know, there's a guy in the New York area, Andy Filardo, and he and I go back and forth. It's really a lot of fun, but he's an old New York street kid. He's combat, so his application of modern arnis
Right,
is
different.
totally application combat oriented. You know, mine is more of an overall blend because I was a fighter, but I'm a methodology and martial arts geek. So that's where mine's going to come in. Yeah. And so, you know, what Professor Remy did in terms of popularizing FMA, and he was the first one to go global. I mean, he was the first one to go global, man.
No, I mean, you know, I had somebody on here and they were telling me about his seminar. And at the 52 weeks, I think somebody alluded to like in the high 40s or something. I mean, just insane travel. I mean, you know, just
absolutely. And you know how he kept it up, I don't know. I mean, I know that sometimes that you know, when we saw him in between seminars, you could see the weariness in him. Dog tired, man.
Sure. Dog
tired. But I tell you, he hit that floor, and all of a sudden it was Sammy Davis Jr. again, man.
Yes,
it's showtime. And he was quite something.
Wow, that's amazing. So again, you know, it's so funny because I've had, if my recollection serves me well, I've had the Chris and Bruce, Brian, Maestro Chad a couple times, and they're all
hacks. They're all hacks.
I was going to tell you that behind after the interview, you know, but
they're all good guys. I just got to pick on them.
No, but they all alluded to the fact that like they were kind of given permission, and not only that, but like you know, kind of not pushed upon them, but what the sense I got, but so encouraged to go out there and teach, spread, regardless of like where you were in the ranking structure per se. And I, you know, that stood out to me. And when you said, because I just found that not only different, but somewhat refreshing, and that he did, you know, that he instilled that in his students, and it's just new. I think it's great, but it goes to show how he was able to spread his art.
Well, it also backed up his intent, and that's the key thing. It backed up his intent because all along his intent was spread Filipino culture. You know, and if you look at historically, you know, back when Professor Remy was training, you know, what were the popular martial arts? Karate, judo, taekwondo. I mean, the indigenous arts, they were looked upon as thugs. You know, it's like, man, they're ruffians
or misunderstood.
Exactly. Well, you know, you had some street boys out there beating on people's sticks and knives. There's not a whole lot of misunderstanding there. It's like a bad rep. Yeah. And so, but the thing is that there was this terrific art that he was doing, and he really wanted to spread the culture, and boy, he sure did in a big way.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, this should be a quick, simple little question. I always kind of look to the right and make sure I'm not missing on questions, whatever. But we got 50 seminars a year. Good heavens, and 10 camps.
Yep. Yep.
No, I'm telling you, I hear that. I look and see that statistic, and I'm like, nope. I'm just like,
Yeah. No,
nope.
he pulled it off. He did it. Well, you know, he had a loyal cadre of students that would promote seminars, and mind you, that was his way of making a living. He didn't have a home
No,
dojo.
I
He
mean,
didn't
no,
have any other
I
job.
guess give
But
credit.
that was, I mean, that was what he did. That's what he lived for. And
Yeah, I mean, no,
and he
I
did it
mean,
in a big way. I mean, he went big.
yeah, I know. I mean, I have extreme admiration. You know, it's funny. You know, one of the reasons why I decided to do these interviews, not to try to attempt to bring the community together, yada yada, so forth and all that, but was for my own education and kind of crossing bridges that maybe normally I wouldn't cross. You know what I mean? Find out about other systems, all that.
Oh
And I
yeah.
gotta say, what I've told people, the most information and all that like, of course, I always knew about Remy, but it doesn't mean I fully understood his impact or what he was about and what he instilled and what he left behind. And I tell you, the biggest personal development for me personally, as far as educational within the FMA community, has been Modern East. Just like the impact he's had and what he's done. And his interviews like this and yours that are I love, because you learn new stuff and all that. Yeah, I mean, if I interview an Abenir guy, well, I'm in the system.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. I'm giving him his shine, but it's not like I'm gonna come out of there like this reviewed, this new information, what have you. But I do have a question. Obviously, just curious, did Remy have female students?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, shoot, I
I'm just
remember
gonna hit the like. Go
in the
ahead.
Pacific Northwest, there were a couple of women students. Barbara Bones, who was a student of Rich Minetti and a classmate of Fred King. Janisa Cruzy, who was a top 10 fighter. She was my student at the time, but she was passing through, so to speak, because she had always been a searcher and so forth. Wendy Dragonfire, who now lives in the Netherlands, on the West Coast. They preceded me by 6 to 8 months. They would go on tour with Professor Remy, and because they were so blasted rugged, he would put them with a bunch of the people there just to basically to wake them up out of sound sleep. For certain on the East Coast, I believe initially she was a student of Wendy Dragonfire's. I think. Yeah, you can't hold me to it, but there's a woman by the name of Janet Alfs who's in Northeastern, who's been around for a long time. So, oh yeah, he had a number of women students, definitely.
Yeah, I figured as much. All right, I'm gonna guess there's an aspect of humor to this question from Brian Zielinski. I'm just gonna go out there. I'm gonna go on the reach here. But
I refuse to answer this question on the grounds it may incriminate you, Z.
All right, Yeah, I know. I might have to remain silent for decades. All right. Oh my God, I just lost it.
Good. I wasn't going to answer it anyway.
All right, here we go. It's coming up. Oh, brother. Hate when this happens. Okay, here we go. Dean, ask Dan if my trade-in is worth $10,000 and I need to borrow $10,000. What kind of interest rate can he get me, and for how many months?
Okay, well, I'd be interested in receiving $10,000 from him for at least a period of 12 months. So that's my interest in it. Brian, he's a funny boy. His introduction to me was back up in Connecticut, and we were at a camp, and there was, I think it was on Frank Shikoski's certificate. Professor Remy had asked me, Danny, go, you go get Brian. And I peripherally knew Brian. I didn't know Brian very well. And so I walk over there, and this is so much more funny when Brian tells it, but I go over, Professor needs you to sign a certificate, and I just go clamp on his shoulders, and I waltz him right across the room, and he's kind of what? And I just walk him across this, and he's called me the car salesman ever since. And but
okay.
Yeah, but let me add to that, because Z is one of my closest friends in martial arts. We fast forward to 2006, and we're in the Philippines, 2006 or 2007. Yeah, 2006. And we're at the first Professor Remy Presas Memorial Camp and the third World FMA gathering. And we're staying in a hotel, and he found out that he got roomed with me, and he's kind of like, I'm rooming with the car salesman. Ah, jeez. Anyway, what he didn't know at the time was that, as long as I was going over there, I was going to hit every class. I mean, I was an instructor, but when I wasn't instructing, I was training. And we got to know each other in a period of 2 weeks that created a friendship that is, really just rock solid. The guy is probably one of the most straight up guys that I know. And I like people being straight up. He has a sense of ethics that is very, very firmly rooted. So, but we dog each other. We dog each other left, right, and center. Yeah. So hence the $10,000 trade-in. And
hence
so
the car salesman reference.
That's right.
I got a few more questions. What did I tell you? What did I tell you in the beginning of the interview? Or behind the scenes, they're gonna come flooding in, man. It doesn't matter. You can ask them pre-sent, but it ain't
I'll answer any question you got. So there you go.
Okay. All right. Also, by Remy spreading the culture, do you mean just martial art aspect, or did he also talk a lot about history, pass down the terms in Filipino dialect, share other aspects of Filipino culture like food?
With me, it was mostly martial arts. It was mostly
martial arts. Okay.
Mostly martial arts. Yeah.
But maybe with others, he perhaps maybe went into it. They asked.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No, he had. It's funny because he had different relationships with different people, and he approached me as a martial artist and a fighter. There were other people who,
because of your background, probably, I'm guessing. Yeah.
Exactly. And there's some other people that he got more personal with, and so if you ask, we just mentioned about Brian Zolowinski. Okay, if you ask him, he might have a totally different answer. Maybe they went out to dinner a whole bunch. I know on a personal level, he and Bram Frank were actually quite close. So there's a lot of personal stuff that Bram knows about him that I don't know, but I didn't relate to him on that particular basis. So
yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, depending where your interest lies, and
right.
Okay. All right. Let me, Julius. I'm not sure which question, buddy, but I'm sure you'll let me know.
Hey, he's got all sorts of questions. I've seen him post, man. He's got questions up the wazoo.
This is actually I'm kind of interested in this as well. Did Remy do seminars at the Anasano Academy? Did he get to meet some of the other masters like Angel Cabales, Leo Haron, and Ben Largusa?
Okay, that would have been earlier than 1980. I know that he met Guru Dan at least once.
Oh, sure, yeah.
According to Bruce Jutnick, Angel didn't like him. So, and I don't know if they met. They didn't meet. I mean, he came over here in 75-ish, I believe, and he hooked up with Max Palin, he'd been connected with before. And then between 75 and about 79, my own knowledge of his personal history is like,
but
really shy.
It's Dan. I just know this from having a JKD certification through the Anasano Academy lens. Dan had them all in there, man.
Yeah.
I mean, at one time, so I would have to guess that it's probably fair and safe to say that Remy, I'm sure, stepped into the academy. If we had to guess.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me because Guru Dan, bless him, because I tell you, if anybody has earned to have a chip on his shoulder, it's him.
Yeah.
And if there's anybody who doesn't have a chip on his shoulder, it's Guru Dan. So the thing is that he was a seeker. He still is a seeker.
Oh my gosh.
80, 82, 83, 84, something like that.
84, 85.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I want to be moving like Guru Dan when I'm 85. So
deserves all the accolades. Insane.
Yeah, major respects to him.
Yeah, we got another question here.
Yeah.
Did you get to meet the great Roland Dantes?
I missed out on meeting Guru Roland. The closest I got was I had about a 2-hour phone conversation with him while he had a layover in Las Vegas. And unfortunately, he was soft-spoken enough and there was enough background noise in the restaurant or where he was that, I got about half of it really clear and about another quarter I had to fight to listen to. But he and I, we got along. And I mean, he's my senior, so he's my older brother. And so I treat him exactly as such. But I had some questions for him, history-wise. This was still during the succession fallout. Okay. The Ed Parker died era of modern artists, and so you want to go back to where, who are Professor Remy's friends outside of the U.S. so you can kind of get an idea of where it's really coming from, what's really happening, and so forth. So I only got to talk to him once. I would have loved to have met him. I've got a feeling we would have gotten on just like peaches and cream, but it didn't happen. Kelly, on the other hand, Kelly got lots of FaceTime with Guru Roland, so it's cool. It's all good.
Chad's got Chad. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be getting into. Actually, we're going to be jumping into now the some methodology as well as some insight to functionality and sparring. Okay, well, let me just see. Well, you know what? Before I tackle going out, let's take this question. Did you ever meet GM Ernesto? If so, what would you say is the biggest fundamental difference between Professor and GM Ernesto in regards to styles or training?
Okay, yeah, I got to meet Ernesto. And in fact, it was a funny story because one of his lead students who's in the Pacific Northwest, Mike Bowers, he and I had put on some seminars together teaching the differences between combatant and modern arnist. And one day, Mike shows up with Ernesto at my school, right? And one thing that people, they hear about Super Dan and they remember the antics that I pulled in the ring, et cetera. But what they don't know is how strong my senior junior ethic is. And my first thought when he walks in the door with Ernesto was, you don't come and visit me. I come to you. And he walks in, right? I said, oh my goodness. And I recognize him, the brothers look enough alike that you can tell just bam, just like that. So we have a chat and very, very cordial and so forth. And he's teaching a seminar over at Michael's the next day. So I go over and I've got this old book of his that I think I got from, again, Professor Leonard Trigg. And I went over just so I could have him sign it. Well, I go over, he signs it, he gives me 2 of his books, and he says, get on the floor. Sorry, I haven't paid for the seminar. Done. You get that on the floor. Yes, sir. And so I trained a session with Ernesto. Now, in terms of the differences between the styles, I have to rely on more of what I've seen on video and so forth. And I think one of the major differences in combatant and modern arnist was Professor Remy was primarily a single stick person who added a bit of double stick, who had a bit of espada y daga, but he was primarily single stick. Ernesto, they have more Sinawalis than you can shake a single stick at. Ernesto also taught more weapons. They appeared, and I'm saying this very, very exactly, they appeared to be more stationary, more in front of each other, executing their actions, as opposed to angling, etc. But that might be a perception fault on mine because I didn't train with Ernesto.
No. I think you answered it fairly. Yeah.
But the thing is that those are the main differences that I saw on a surface level.
Okay. No. Fair enough. Yeah. All right. Because man, like I told you, they're gonna come flooding in, and you know what I mean, man. You can ask like days ahead. Hey, submit your questions to me. And, all right, so okay. I am also an incredible. I love methodologies. Matter of fact, the reason why I kind of jump around from system to system and all that, not because I just like jumping around, but because I was so immersed and fascinated by methodology, the what and how, what you choose and how you apply, and just like what makes you do and teach what you do, and all that. I'm just fascinated by it. I can't explain it. But at any rate, what I'm curious about you is, what is your current? In other words, you have your background as a fighter, karate, and all that. Now you're exposed to this stuff, and now you blend. What is your current methodology of that blend, and what do you stress from that, I guess, within your organization and to your students?
I'm not saying. How's that? Next question.
Next question it is.
Okay, so the first thing, what I go by is, number one is it has to have the flow. Now, what do I call the flow? The flow is continuity of motion and recognition of opportunity, or recognition of option. Okay, which means no matter what's happening, you're never stopped. And this came from, so I'm giving you the underlying principles first. And this came from Professor Remy. And one of the things one of the 4 pillars of what I look at in terms of my own system is that, he says, Danny, if you can counter the counter, you will not be beaten. Okay. So that is the first thing. He said that many, many years ago. He goes, Danny, you must have the flow. Oh, okay. And then there was one that was maddening to us until I finally went and hit, which was, no matter where you are there already. Now, if you don't know the art, it's kind of like, no matter where I am, I'm where? There? Where's there? But the thing is it's a statement that says you always have an option. If your hands are down, here are your options. If your hands are up, here are your options. If, like, okay, here's an example. Stick disarms. If I hit at you with the stick and you disarm me, okay, what options present themselves? Well, there's the other guy's cane arm. Okay, that might be close. So maybe I snag that. There's the other arm that he's using to disarm with. Okay, I might snag that. If nothing else, I might just have it a target. He takes it away, bam, I walk in and I hit it. So instead of going with my attention stuck on, holy
yeah, my stick's
going away. No, you have a recognition.
You might want to think about countering at that point,
Exactly. Well, you have this option, so you take it. Okay, so, and then the last one was from Manong Ted Buat in Balintawak, and he would say, and if you did something that was an okay application, but wasn't, let's say, the best option that you could pick, he would say, Dan, that will work on one, but will that work on another Dan? And so it's kind of like, oh, can I afford to get sloppy? No, I might play somebody that has my skill set. So this means you always stay on your toes. You always do the best you can. You always work the best option you can. And those are what I call the 4 pillars of the MA80 system. So my physical methodologies, okay, obviously we start off with the basic 12 strikes and we have the blocks and we have the this and that, but this is what we aim for. That's the first thing. And that's, so those are the underpinnings. Now, if we slide over into stick sparring, because you can do execution of techniques, left, right, and center, but if you look at combat, if you look at bang, bang, now we're looking at maybe 5% of the art. All the disarms, all the cool moves, all the this and that, reduced down to a simplicity. reduced down to a
Which we're going to
simplicity.
be getting to. Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, you try and do all this fancy stuff. Now, the fancy stuff, to me, are all what ifs. And let me give you an example on this one. I was doing karate sparring with a good buddy of mine, Mike Shintaku, guy I've known since we were brown belts. So this is back when dinosaurs ruled the earth. And we're sparring, and our arms get tangled up. Bang! I do a trapping hands thing, and I hit him. This came out of the toolbox. Not premeditated, not set him up. Our arms got tangled. Boom, counter trap and bang. He looks at me and smiles. That came from your harness, didn't it? And of course, I have to put this all-knowing look on my face because I was just as surprised as he was. Just, yep, it did. And then we continued sparring.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you're like,
well, yeah. Later on, when I went home, I strained my shoulder, patting myself on the back. You know.
Yeah. Of course it did.
But the thing is that you get 95% of your FMA experience, all the techniques, all the drills, etc. They're in the toolbox, waiting to jump out just in case. But if you look at historically, and this is where this long-winded answer is heading towards. If you look at it historically, okay, stick fights were measured in seconds. They were not measured in rounds. They weren't measured in minutes or hours, unless the minutes were all set up. But once we have Engayo, once we have engage, it was over fairly quickly. So when I look at sparring, when I look at stick fighting, whether it's combat or sparring, that is where my mind goes to. And this is where my karate experience comes in beautifully.
Yeah, as a fighter. That's why, yeah.
Not only as a fighter, but I was one of the smartest fighters on the planet. I was crafty, I was sneaky, and being a technique geek and being a principle geek, I included all those, and I include those into my stick fighting. So instead of just being out there and I'm going to work on reflexes and so forth, if you look at my very first book, American Freestyle Karate, A Guide to Sparring, I list 5 offensive approaches. There we go, the camera. 5 offensive approaches, 7 defensive approaches. Okay. I picked the ones that work for stick fighting for me for the best, and I roll down to 3 offensive approaches for defensive. Okay. Direct attack, a single attack intending to hit. Attack by combination, 2 or more attacks, each intending to hit. Indirect attack, you get them zig, you get zig and you zag. You do an intention getter, pow, you hit. Okay. Defensive approaches, instant counter. You move, pow, I hit you. Whether I angle off or whatever. Defang, destroy the wrist, the hand, or the elbow of the weapons wielding hand. Okay. Block and counter. Okay. Standard, many Filipino systems.
Right.
Evade and counter. Evade. Make that sucker miss you by a hair. Pow! Hit him back. And that and a simplicity of footwork dictates my sparring. Now,
sound like a JKD guy there. If I didn't know any better.
No, JKD stole from me. They just didn't know it. That's all. But no.
So I'm hearing the 5 ways of attack. I'm like getting a refresher course here. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, the 5 ways of attack was also publicized by Joe Lewis and Aldo Costos back in the 70s. Yeah. And but the thing is that there's a methodology behind that instead of going just sheer reflex. In fact, it was funny because 2 days ago in FMA Discussion, I think it was Paulo Rubio talking about sparring and Darren Tibone.
Yeah,
and he puts in there distancing and timing. And I'm going, yes. And I mentioned to him, hey, Darren, this sounds like somebody who's sparred a bit. That's right.
I know.
These are principles that transcend any art. You know, one of my favorite sayings that befuddles people until I explained it is, all fighting is the same. Only the rules of engagement differ. But all fighting is the same. You know, so timing in boxing is timing. Timing in karate is time. Timing is timing. Crossing the street, passing somebody on the road. That's a principle. That's the same.
No.
Now,
I got you.
Method of engagement, okay, that's where we shift. Intent, that's where we shift. You know,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
try
Is there
and
a
make,
true intent? Gotcha.
I try in my sparring to mirror the intent of combat as closely as possible.
Yeah.
You know, so the diving to the knees to hit the guy on the knee, then he whacks me on the head. For me, all the padding, I don't do it.
No,
I don't even wear
it's
a helmet.
false
I wear.
sense.
I'll use padded sticks,
Yeah, no, I know. I'm with you.
etc. But
Yeah, I'm with you.
but anyway, kind of an answer as to that's
No,
the
no, I thought
viewpoint
it was-
behind my methodologies.
No, I thank you for answering. I thought it was fantastic. And the reason, and it's funny, I kind of knew somebody to go to because again, you're a fighter. You come from a fighting background, so
Right.
this is why I wanted to touch upon this because I knew I was going to appreciate your insight and all that. I think I just want just hang with me, sir. I want to make sure I didn't miss any questions.
Sure.
All righty. Yeah. Oh boy, ton of comments, sir. Ton of comments.
Oh, good.
Which is a good thing.
I guess I'll be able to see this later on when you post it up.
Yeah, no. But I mean,
and read the comments and either like or get upset by them. But
all good stuff. All good stuff. Good stuff. All right. What were the biggest? Okay. All right. We can get to Chad's because there's some parallel to what we just talked about here.
Sure.
What were the biggest parallel you saw between our niece and your karate fighting strategies?
Oh, boy. I just said it.
You touched on some of it.
Okay. Well, if we get down to brass tacks and get down to specifics, I was a defensive fighter when I was a karate fighter, which means this really helped in developing my ability to observe the other person's actions, the other person's telegraphs, etc. So, my ability to read what somebody's going to do, I consider to be pretty developed. And in karate, I remember just as an example, one time I'm at a karate match and I'm sitting with Morris Mack's wife, and we're just watching the match, and she makes a question of, gosh, I wonder how this is going to go or whatever. So I started just sitting there going, here comes the round kick. Round kick. He's going to back fist. Okay. And up, he's sitting back for a counter punch. Okay. He's sitting for this. He's sitting for that. And she's just going, because I'm calling everything that the person's doing. Well, the way the person holds themselves, depth of stance, where the arms are, how the body is structured, all comes under what I call positional setup. And if you know the options of what somebody can do from any position, you can do a fairly decent prediction of what they're going to do. Now, here's the fascinating thing. Let's add to this. It's what I call the lazy American. Nobody fights from a position that they feel no confidence in. So they're going to get in their best position. They're going to set up.
They're not going to change their comfort level in the heat of the moment.
Boom! You've got it. If you know how to read a person's body position, next thing you know is you're getting a singing telegram from Western Union. Boy, does that age me. That ages me. Here comes the abanico. Here comes the hammer fist. Here comes this or that or the next thing. And this is where I think karate-wise, my history and my background and my abilities and skills really transfer over to FMA, is because of being a defensive fighter to begin with, and then shifting that over observationally to FMA. And then the other thing was that in my mind, there were two schools of thought during my upbringing. One was the Joe Louis, Bruce Lee, which was put your strong side forward, emphasize your coordinated side. Then there was the Chuck Norris side, ambidextrous, work both sides. And I followed into the Chuck Norris vein. Now that really did me very, very well in my karate career. In fact, if you talk to Keith Vitale, he's really funny, three-time national champion. And he says, Dan, I can't believe it. You fought just like me, except you use both sides. I said, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, how can you
left
argue
and right?
both sides?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that's the Chad. That's the short.
Mhm.
When I make it out to one of your camps, what we'll do? Oh, hold on here.
Yeah, one
There's
down.
somebody who's calling in. There's somebody who's calling in, and I just yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, Chad, that's the short answer.
Yeah.
When I make it out to your camp, trust me, I will talk you into all hours of the night. But yeah, we can
Are you
talk
coming
demo,
out
talking
and
demos.
Chad's camp next year? Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Yeah, I think the first trip that we'll be making will be Brian's Connecticut camp in October.
I'm in Connecticut, so we can meet.
Perfect. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
look for the guy riding the 3-wheeled motorcycle, the Spider. That'll be me.
That would be you. Okay.
Yeah. Bucket list item is a cross country trip. So I'm
how
already.
neat.
Oh yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
That's neat. Oh,
yeah.
neat.
Yeah.
Wow. Good for you. Wow. Yeah. No, I plan on attending. I look at it as a haven for interviews and meet and greets and all the above. So.
Yeah, there's going to be
right.
some good people there.
From here. Okay. Did Super Dan? Did you teach actor Dean Stockwell anything?
I have never met Dean Stockwell.
Okay.
Main thing I saw him in was what was that time travel TV show that he was in?
Right.
I can't remember, but no, I never met Dean Stockwell.
All right, that was okay. All right, we're moving on. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. All right, we can touch upon this now. I had a very similar question, but we can go.
Yeah.
How much influence does Balintawak have on modern niece, knowing that Professor Remy trained in Balintawak, and what modifications did he make from his Balintawak training in his modern niece, and why the modification?
Okay. We have several questions in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide more towards the end of that question, and then I'll get into how it impacted my Filipino martial arts. Okay. So I think from my experience, not having trained in, but having seen the grouping method, and then having trained with Manong Ted Buat, which again, I'll get into just a smidge later. But some of the close straight on work, I think, was influenced by Balintawak, because the key thing is that if you go back and you look at the history of Professor Remy, okay, how did he start learning? Well, Dad's teaching the Filipino guerrilla fighters, okay, so and the family system, stick and dagger, okay, banda banda, abanico. You've got these classical methods. He learns, or actually he hijacks what Dad's doing, cuts a small switch, knocks all the leaves off the tree that he can reach. Grandpa catches him. Oh, Remy, you want to do this? I will train you. And he trains him. So, but the thing is that it is a cutting and slashing and footwork style. Now, there was an interview that either with Kelly Warden or Gabi Roloff, I don't remember, but he talks about when he first met Arnulfo Moncal's group, and however they get into scrimmaging, I don't know, but they cannot catch me. I move and I slash and I cut. They cannot. They get very mad. They cannot catch me. Well, what does this tell you? Footwork, this cutting style, etc., instead of the straight on big tat 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 of Balintawak. Okay, they like him because he's got guts. So he starts learning Balintawak. He moves from Moncol to Timotea Moranga. He moves from Moranga to Anchan Bacon. Becomes one of the best fighters, if not the best fighter in the Balintawak club. I don't remember which.
Okay.
But what you would see later on with the close in butting and the trapping and the capturing, I think, is Balintawak influenced conceptually. Now, why did he change? The Balintawak that I was exposed to is fairly intricate. The intricacy would actually act as a barrier to promoting Filipino culture. The moment you impose very exacting standards, and you have to do it this way, which Professor Remy was not a big, you have to do it this way kind of guy. Okay, you're going to limit the spread, number one. Number two, Balintawak, and this is my description, right or wrong, but Balintawak is a dueling art, okay? It's something we're going mano a mano, and you've got that middle distance, close distance. But the thing is, it's a dueling art. It's something where you're going to get into bang, bang, and somebody's going to get clipped. And Professor was really safety conscious in terms of what he showed to others and so forth. So was it a big influence? Yes. But not so where it really moved modern artists over into the dueling aspect. Okay. So answer to that question. Now, in terms of influencing what I do, major. And I just happen to have a story behind this, but
let's hear it.
I remember Jay Spiro, who has had a school in Ferndale, which is a suburb of Detroit, Michigan. She's had a school there for 40 years. And I'd met her, gosh, back in '84 when we had a camp out here. And then I re-met her at a seminar. And we hit it off very well. Well, anyway, when Professor Remy passed away, we were talking one time, and she mentioned that she was training also in Balintawak, Eskrima with Ted Buat. Now, Ted Buat, he was an engineer, so he had this engineering mind as to how to do things, right? But also, he was the only student that was allowed to teach outside of Anchan Bakon in Anchan's Balintawak club. Yeah. But he taught old school. He taught one-on-one. You could not seek him out and ask him for lessons. You had to be referred to by an existing student. So I asked Jay, would you be willing to refer me to him? And she said yes. Then she asked Manong Ted, and Manong Ted said, sure, bring him along. So I go to this private session because, like I said, he taught one-on-one. It's down in the basement, and he's teaching Jay. And I'm sitting off to the side observing. And, he's 71, by the way, which really plays into this. So he's teaching Jay, and then he goes, Dan, what would you do against this? Oh, sure. And I get up there and I do something, and bang, he shuts me down. I mean, meaning he counters me, okay? And it's like, And then he tells me what he did to counter me and so forth. So, okay, fine. Well, he did this 2 more times. Again, Dan, what would you do against this? Boom, 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 shuts me down. Dan, what would you do against this? The 3rd time he shut me down, I bust up laughing. I mean, it was a belly buster, because when you get manhandled, or when you get shut down or whatever in such an easy, non-ballistic, etc. way. I mean, you just get shut down. There's one of 2 things you can do. You can either get pissed off, or you can relish in it. You can enjoy the hell out of it. And
in other words, getting angry, that's going to do you a lot of good, right?
Well, it wouldn't do me any good, but I was caught.
Embrace it.
Yeah, you embrace it, and I was entertained by it. I just thought, son of a gun, this, he got me. So at the end of the class, because he knew I wanted to learn Balintawak, he said, so Dan, why do you want to learn Balintawak Eskrima? I said, well, it was one of the foundation arts of modern artists, and I want to understand my teacher better. And that was a good enough answer. So I took some lessons from him, and he did them in packages. And because I lived in the outskirts of Portland and he lived in Detroit, I only got a handful of lessons from him, but he was the yin to Professor Remy's yang.
Oh, now I see.
Where Professor Remy wasn't hard and fast on exactly how to do something. Ted was precision. We spent the first 45 minutes how to work the legs and hips to generate power in a strike. My legs were killing me. But everything was precision based, timing based. And as a generality, if my actions were, let's say, freewheeling before, they really tightened up.
Yeah.
Less wasted action. Professor Remy had really emphasized use of the checkhand. Oh, not like Minogue Ted.
Yeah.
My checkhand usage just boom skyrocketed working with Ted, and this all figures in my expression. The MA80 system now, but it's one of those where you only have a short amount of time with an individual, but it just boom impacts like crazy. And so this is what Balintawak did, and it wasn't the grouping system that Grandmaster Bobby T teaches. It was old style, and I only mention that because if somebody's familiar with the grouping system, then
I've heard that within the Balintawak. I've heard that. Yeah.
That okay. It's almost like, let's say, for lack of a better term, two different ways of going about it. And Ted went about it old school, and I profited like crazy from it. It really changed my modern arnis.
No.
Yeah.
We have. I got a couple options for you. And,
yes, sir.
And this is for a good reason. And the good reason is these interviews going incredibly well. The problem is we're up to an hour and a half. And
it's going incredibly long. Well, I told you before, if you get me talking, I'm as bad as Bram Frank, and I'll keep yammering.
No, it's good. No. This is your time to shine. I want you to share everything. No, so we have two options.
Yeah.
We can continue to go, or we can do a part two. I always like to ask the guest what they feel. Honestly, between the couple of questions I haven't got to, I think. Well, let me just see how many up here that I think there are like two I didn't get to. There's three on here. I still got stuff. But again, in other words, I always like to run it by you. For another question just came. I don't know what you have going on. So generally,
I mean, the most I've got is going back to the water cooler and getting more water.
Okay.
That's what I've got.
You know what? We'll push on. All
okay.
Right. I think what I'm going to do is, here's what I could do. The people that are submitting questions on here, what I can do is maybe have them submit them to you.
Okay. Either that, or we can do a lightning round, and I can. One of the books that I'm doing right now is a personal reflections thing where I've got like long answers to things, but then I've got one section that I call the lightning round that I keep it down to like 2 or 3 sentences. Okay. And so we could do that if you wish. I mean, it's your call.
No. You're here. You're the guest. So
yeah.
No. All right. Let's go. Let's do it. Okay. Out of all the type of weapons, blade, stick, or empty hand, where's your favorite to train in?
I'm a stick guy. I'm a banger. Mentally, emotional content wise, I am a hitter. I am not a cutter.
Okay.
I like training blade, but emotionally wise, am I cutter? No, that's Bram. That's Kelly.
Okay.
I smack people.
Okay. No. All right. From Andres, can you talk about the difference from generating power in a punch versus stick?
I use the same thing with the exception of one thing. And generating the power of the punch, legs, hips. I do the same dadgum thing when power of the stick, because the thing is that I do not rely on the hardness of the weapon to do the damage for me. I don't.
I like that.
If I can get my body into it, and I can get a lot more juice. But the key thing, and I'm going to have to back up for this, is that unless I'm cutting, I don't go through the shoulder. I will use a lot more elbow action along with my body action.
Okay.
So there is that aspect of it. going through the shoulder this way, that's marvelous for a long blade because you don't have to have power with a long blade.
No.
All you got to do is touch and draw.
Okay.
Skin goes like this. Yeah.
Great. Okay. From Brian, you have stated, I'm not sure what, I stated over the years that the professor taught in broad strokes. Learn a technique from him today, ask him every couple of years about it, and you'll get somewhat different answers. Guys like yourself, a Brahms modular approach, or myself teach in a very different way. Can you elaborate on professor's teaching style for the viewers? You went to a little in the beginning, but
yeah, well, really quickly, if you look at the fact that this was his method of making a living. If you teach the same thing the same way, people are going to get bored. I learned that already. So if he shifts what he is teaching, or he shifts the manner, okay, you have a slightly different tack on it. Now, the other thing is he was constantly evolving. He would always talk about, oh, I did not know that. I learned from you. Well, he did. I think his most dramatic learning curve was when he and Wally J started traveling together, and all of a sudden these great big circular locks became these little itty bitty small circle things, and but that, I think, those two reasons: one, he was evolving; two, he was varying things to keep the interest alive. Is why, if you learned this in 1988,
so I mean, it's
and you went back to it in 1990, we might have a bit different twist on it.
No. I mean, clever. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, keep the whole interest loop going. Yeah.
Exactly. And for us standardized technical geeks, drove us crazy.
Like, what do you mean you're changing it? How can you do that? I can't handle it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right. Paul, when will one-on-one be recommended? Old style teaching or new? So I guess when would one-on-one be recommended, and old style teaching or new? So I guess a two-part question.
Yeah. Okay. I can only answer from me. One-on-one. I'll use one-on-one in two different ways. Either in the classroom setup, where I'm working with a particular person. Okay, we're doing this because you're at this level. You're doing that because you're at that level. Or in a private lesson set where the person doesn't want to do classes. They want to do privates. Okay, that would be one-on-one. For me and my demographics, I can't afford to only teach one-on-one.
Okay. No.
If I could get away with it, get away with what I would love to charge. Hey, one-on-one's my baby.
Yeah, I know. But how do you? Okay. This is I'm gonna have to stop the question here, guys, because I have to get to some other stuff here. If you do have questions after this, please submit to GM Dan. All right. How do you manage to have a martial arts school business for that long, especially in the Oregon area? If you can give advice to get students in the longevity, we're all ears. Okay.
Really, very, very simple. I'll use a quote from Brandon Beliso, and this has to do with service. If I pay you $100 and I get $500 worth of service, I'm a happy camper. Let me give you an example. Okay, we've had between 40 to 50% of martial arts schools closed during the pandemic.
Oh, terrible.
I've stayed open. Now,
good for you.
What did I do? Okay, first things I shifted to virtual. Now, in terms of teaching online, that's tough. you got to feed the students the energy, and you've got to keep their
Yeah, I
attention,
know.
blah, blah, blah.
And it was hard. It was hard.
But the thing is, it's what you do because those are your guys. So that's the first thing. Now, here's another one. While I was teaching only virtual, I would hand deliver their belts. So I'm out on my spider, and I'm going to every single household, and
what a nice
knock.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah,
and then the other thing that Brandon says, which I didn't know I was doing, but I was doing, is that his statement: I don't want students. I want to create relationships. And the relationship that I created between me and my guys was that while everybody during the pandemic was doing olive oil, running around, oh, Popeye, there had to be somebody who was the rock. And my motto that I hijacked from the International Association of Scientologists, of which I've been a member since 1982, is something can be done about it. That was where I was going. Something can be done. So what was I doing? I was doing what I could about it. And I'll tell you right now, I don't know if I told you this the other day, but right now my numbers in my school, and I run a small school, but my numbers in my school are above pre-pandemic.
Well, obviously you're doing something right. I mean, to get numbers above pandemic, obviously.
That's right. So it's create relationships, and this doesn't mean you have to go to everybody's house for dinner, or
I got you. Yeah.
But well, I'm just answering the person who did the question. You don't have you be yourself. You don't be the little general, which is what I was for many, many years. And then you go the extra mile. And whatever the extra mile is the extra mile, because especially right now, it is very appreciated. And then for me, it's be the rock. So many people are in this uncertain time and being filled with uncertainty and anxiety. And when they look at me, it's like, okay,
they see a well-balanced.
I can depend on this guy.
Yeah, I could see that. Like they would see you as a well-balanced individual, that somebody is going to bring some structure and some purpose. Right. And the fact that you made that nice touch of delivering the belts, I'm sure that really resonated with your students and the parents. I mean, here's this guy going out during COVID and delivering belts.
That's right.
That's a nice touch.
That's one of the things that I do. So
all school owners are listening to us. Deliver your belts.
Service. Service.
Yeah. Oh, that might be the wow. No, that's commendable. Wow.
Thank you.
Okay, so I know you have not only a series of books published, but you have an online library. So if folks wanted to, what can you tell us about that? I guess the books in the online library.
I call it the Super Dan online library.
Yeah.
And the thing is that's where I have all my books and my DVDs that I sell. And the history of it, I'm going to go just not too long-winded, but a tiny bit long-winded.
Yeah, sure.
The history of it started with my first book, American Freestyle Karate: A Guide to Sparring, which came out in 1980. And it was the first comprehensive manual on free sparring, on karate free sparring. And it ended up being used in many dojos as required reading, for certain belt levels.
Oh, that's incredible. Oh, wow.
Yeah. The fascinating thing was, the reason why I wrote the book was because it was the book that I wanted to read. At that time, you had basics books, you had self-defense books, you had historical books, but you didn't have anything that really got you into the meat and potatoes. Yeah. And my book got you into the meat and potatoes. Now, we fast forward to 2002. I already had a couple of books on modern harness sitting in the cooker. I just had them sitting there waiting, and I could have published them earlier, but again, like I mentioned earlier, my senior junior ethic, there was no way I was going to do something that may cut across my teacher's income lines. Wasn't going to do it.
Want to derail them? Yeah.
When he passed away, all bets were off. And I hooked up with, at that time, a person who knew how to make electronic format books, PDF file books. This is back in 2002. So this is 19 years ago. And from there, I started producing books more on karate, more on Filipino martial arts. My Filipino martial arts output far outstrips my karate output. And the reasoning behind that is, again, my frustration with Professor Remy's teaching, because Professor Remy was a very empowering person, but he wasn't a technical teacher.
As far as the fuck you alluded to. Okay.
Yeah. And so the thing is that where my give back to the martial arts community is that, and we had mentioned this, I talked to you about the other day about this, is that in my opinion, every grandmaster, living and dead, started out as a stupid white belt. They had their hands down, so they got punched in the face.
Yeah,
they had the stick down, so they got clonked in the head.
Sure.
And they rose by hook or by crook to great heights. Now, my opinion, there is no reason why I cannot be as skilled as Professor Remy. He had two hands, he had two legs, he had a stick, he had a working mind. Now, the trick is I got to figure out how he did it. I have to figure out, I have to understand what are the fundamentals to this skill. And then the fascinating thing that I found out in my first book, one of the comments that kept coming across was, geez, this is really easy to understand. I can read this and I can understand this. You're not talking over our heads or talking in nebulous terms. So
I just commented that here, your mono book, amazing and easy to understand and follow. You just
exactly right. And so the thing is that for whatever reason, I have a knack for describing things in understandable language so that the common person, you don't have to be this unbelievably athletically skilled warrior mentality person to duplicate what I write. All you have to be is the average person. And so I can describe things. I'm not afraid of the written word. So I can sit down and express my thoughts, bang, 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 on the keyboard, or talk in front of a camera. And then one of the other things is that one of the things that bugged me about the old books is that you'd be here and you'd fake the back fist, and then next thing you know, the round kick is there, and you've got 3 pictures. It's like all the in-between stuff was missing.
Oh, okay.
How'd you shift your body? How'd you step? What happened to their hands? Blah, 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 blah.
Details.
And so I outlined this in my first karate book, and it's the same concept for any other my martial arts books, or DVDs. Explain it in such a step-by-step fashion that it can be duplicated by the common person. And if the common person has interest, they'll be able to pick it up. Now, whether they get awesome at it, okay, that's their sweat equity that they put into it.
Their work ethic, sure.
Exactly. Sure. But my give back, because all of my mentors were generous to a fault with me. My FMA mentors, Professor Remy, was generous to a fault. My only meeting with Ernesto, Dan, you go train on the floor. My only meeting with Edgar Salidi, hi, Guru, I'm Dan Anderson. I'm one of Remy's boys. Oh, I know Remy. Get on the floor.
Oh, wow.
Bobby Tabamina, when I met him in the Philippines, we did some back and forth Balintawak style, and he was a hell of a lot better than I was at that. So what the heck? But giving. Graciela Casillas. So my whole thing, is at this point in time in my career as a martial artist, this is 54 years. I'm 68 years old. I'm 10th Dan in recognized by 2 different karate icons, not just an organization, but 2 different karate icons, Alan Steen and Pat Burleson. And we can go into the history of those guys, karate-wise, and highly rated in the Philippines in modern arnis. Okay, so what more do I have to achieve? I don't know. But, what's my drive now? Research, payback. Research, payback.
Oh,
And this is what the library is all about. I mean, obviously, yes, I'm selling product.
But still,
good. I'm selling product. I'll make some money off of it, etc. But the thing is that, and I've always had this concept on books. If I learn one thing from a book, it's paid for itself.
Yeah, if you got something out of it, sure.
Bingo, right? Yeah. And so I feel I've got a lot to give because I came up as that stupid little white belt, as that guy from the recreation center with a green belt teaching him to where I am now. And how can I make your journey easier?
Right.
Okay. I can contribute to your understanding. And if I can do that, rock and roll.
No, that's awesome that you're giving back. I think that's great that you want to get back to the community and you're doing it. I mean, that's what it's about. You know what I mean? That's keeping that circle going. You know, that's
exactly.
You know what I mean? Wow. You know what? So this has been great. Due to some of your rapid fire answering, you know, we are able to get done. You know, this has been wonderful. You know, I'm so glad you came on and I really appreciate your time, you know, and all
Anytime.
that. And
we'll
folks,
do part 2, 3, and 4. How's that?
When you come out, I mean, I definitely want to grab you and a few others together in a collective interview. So you haven't seen the last of me yet.
Okay, not a problem.
Yes, this is wonderful and all that. And folks, if I didn't get to your question or you have a question, please message GM Dan. He already mentioned that he would answer them. Okay.
Yeah, I already spent a half hour with a young man named Jeremy who lives in Canada.
Jeremy is on here right now.
Yeah, and he had a question. He had a question for me, and I started texting him back. And I thought, this is going to take too long to text.
Yeah. Hey,
is it okay if I call you? And he goes, yeah, sure. Whammo. Next thing you know, we're just chatting away, and I'm answering every question that he's got.
He did mention that to me. Yeah.
And so, I mean, I'm an open book. One of the things that I stressed to Jeremy, and that I want to use this as kind of like a closing note, is that when we look at martial arts, okay, and we look at like any kind of martial arts, whether it's FMA or whatever, but since this is an FMA discussion thing, okay, we look at all the different branches of FMA, and whatever speaks to you is the right art for you. If you're if you're a Calis Illustrissimo person and Kabbalah Serrata doesn't speak to you, no harm, no foul.
Yeah, it doesn't. Right.
What speaks to you is what speaks to you. So there's no real right or wrong in this. For me, my first exposure was modern arnis. Who knows? Maybe it could have been Lameco. Maybe it could have been Balintawak. I don't know.
Timing.
Exactly. But the thing is the art and the instructor, do they resonate with you? I mean, not everybody can get along with everybody. Over 8 billion people on the planet, there's going to be a few of us that disagree with either personality types or presentation types or whatever. But it all boils down to, what are you looking to get out of the martial arts, and how is your relationship with your teacher? Now, I'm going to put Jeremy on the spot right at the moment, because I loved how he described his relationship with Craig, his teacher. I mean, we're talking a couple of guys that just resonate, and that's where the bottom line is, because the only person that lives with me is me. deep down in the very heart of hearts.
Mm.
So my relationship to my art, my relationship to individuals in the art are going to be those which really truly resonate with me. And yeah, I've met a ton of people in the martial arts, and they all fit my description of, I believe people are basically good. Every once in a while, you're going to get people that, boom, you just go head to head with, and it's kind of like, okay, well, let's do this. Let's go your way. Let's go my way. And yeah,
I like that.
and then that and $5 will get you a good cup of coffee. So there. So
that's funny.
Anyway. Yeah. Instead of going bang, 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 good. Let's just go like that. Let's go like this.
I'm going to steal that.
Let's go like this. So, but anyway, yeah. Anybody that has any questions, if you want to text them to me, fine. If they end up being better than lightning round questions, hey, I'll answer any question you got. Yeah. I am an open book. I'm very, very secure with myself. My credentials are established. And if you want my opinion on something, not a problem. If you have no questions for me, you really don't want to hear my opinion, not a problem either.
I'm confident you'll get some messages, but again,
yeah, I'm sure.
But thank you so much, and it sounds like we'll be meeting in next fall.
In Connecticut, for sure, yeah. Yeah, if we don't do another one of these before Connecticut, we will meet each other in Connecticut in person.
I'll get all these in one room in a corner.
And we'll be hitting each other.
You'll be under the FMA discussion, and you cannot leave until you answer the following questions.
Well, if you institute a lightning round rule, then you can get one person, next person.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe some semblance of organization.
No,
otherwise,
I'm already thinking some ideas because there'll be a thing there. So I'm definitely something I'm thinking about in advance. So and all that, but it'll be fun though. But it'll be a lot of fun because because there's going to be so much energy. You know what I mean? So it's going to be fun.
Oh boy, is there going to be energy? You betcha.
Yeah. All right, sir. Hey, if I don't talk to you, because I will be talking to you before then. I thank you again for coming on, and I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you for having me on. This has been most enjoyable.
Yeah, and I'm gonna download when I download to YouTube. Of course, I'll share it on your wall.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. So I know how to copy it. So I'll put it in my electronic format as part of my electronic file special that I hint sell on my website. And it will include the FMA discussion interview.
I just made a bundle of Dean's interview with me.
Yes. It adds to the pension.
This is my retirement fund.
Yep.
All right, sir. Thank you so much.
You betcha. Thank you.
Take care. Wow, another good one. Sorry for the length, folks. I mean, it's either like you do 2 parts or you endured the length. I mean, it's pretty simple. But at any rate, this next interview, I think, is Julius is interviewing Manolo Del Rosario, if I believe so. And I think that's Tuesday morning. I think he's got a flyer going already, what have you. And what else? Will be tonight. I am releasing March's list of guests and some pretty good names on there. And just to give you a little hint, a little taste, what do we got? Give you guys a little preempt list here. I'm going to do my first theme one, which will be women's self-defense, 2 on Arlene and a couple other ladies, Trisha Dong, and I just got to get somebody else. Who else is going to be on here? Potentially Mark Wiley, waiting to hear back. The Paul and June show will be on here. Yes, sir. And who else? Guru Diane will be on here. Okay, so actually there's going to be a couple women's episodes, which I'm excited about that. And who else? Just to name a few, Chris Caban. So yeah, but I'll put the list out tonight and you guys will see it. So That'll be on FMA Discussion, so you guys can see who's coming in March and all that. But those who commented, watched, and submitted questions, I appreciate it. If you have not already, please hit like and subscribe to FMA Discussion on YouTube, where you can see this video and other great ones. All right, folks, until next week, thank you and take care.